With the WINN FM News, I am Kevin Brown.
And I am Yulana Weeks.
Our top stories.
Minister Samuel Duggins says the Soca Mana competition seems to be trending back to its glory days.
ECCB Governor highlights positive developments amid growth focus.
Miss Soraya Williams-Powell was crowned as the Republic Bank Miss Teen St. Kitts and Nevis pageant queen.
St. Kitts Nevis opposition leader on the state of crime in the country during intervention on 2025 budget. New leader of the New National Party in Grenada shares priority areas for the party's future. Controversy continues over Venezuelan migrants stranded in Guyanese city. Internationally, United Nations concerned over military escalation in Syria. Now, the details.
Minister of the Creative Economy Samuel Duggins hailed the standard of the 2024-2025 Soca Mana competition as greater than in recent years. In his view, the event is transforming into a new era of success.
Soca Mana seems to be trending back into its glory days. It can easily become one of the premier events again for Sugar Mass. I think the standard of performances tonight were very high, and in the end, by the reaction of the people, the preferred artists actually went with the crowd.
After a noticeable drop in attendance in recent years, the 2024 Soca Mana competition saw an improvement in crowd attendance, signifying renewed interest in the show. Minister Duggins hinted at the possibility of injecting some changes or improvements to the competition to lift the public's interest.
Well, as you indicated tonight, it was bigger than it was in the last couple of years, and that is an indication, if any, that there is something going into it to improve the standard and even the acceptance publicly with Soca Mana once again. And I think it's trending in the right direction, and the team has been putting in a lot of work, and I do believe that the lessons from tonight will be learned, and next year they'll come back bigger and better yet again.
The 2023 Groovy Soca King, Ras Kelly, successfully defended his title in 2024 and walked away with $20,000 for his song Indie Mass. The duo of Tubap and Akai won the Power Soca segment with the highly rated song Wicked, thus cementing themselves as a formidable force in the Federation's soca industry. They also won $20,000 in their debut performance. The Soca Mana competition was held on Saturday night, December 14 at Carnival Village.
Governor Timothy N.J. Antoine celebrated the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank ECCB's significant achievements during the past year at the 2024 Staff Gala and Awards. The gala served as a platform for recognizing the bank's positive impact across the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union (ECCU) over recent years. Governor Antoine expressed satisfaction with three crucial initiatives to foster financial inclusion and to support local economies. First, he noted the ECCB's new guidance for member banks on simplifying account opening, a change designed to enhance public access to banking services.
But as of December 1, we have given a certain guidance to our banks to make it easier for people to open bank accounts, including the requirement for one, not two IDs, the establishment of what we call low-risk accounts, and a number of things to make it easier for people to do business, startups, young people coming out of school who want to engage with the financial system. And so that's something we worked together on for the last year, and I'm very pleased that we're now in a position to bring some direct impact to the public in regard to the ease of opening bank accounts.
Secondly, he underscored the establishment of the ECCU Credit Bureau, an initiative that finally saw fruition this year after years of aspiration. Launched in Antigua and Barbuda, the Credit Bureau will soon be legislated across all 8 member countries of the ECCU, significantly improving the credit assessment process for individuals and businesses alike. Governor Antoine described this development as a critical step toward enhancing credit worthiness and facilitating access to financing. The governor's third source of pride was the progress made by the Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation, ECPCGC. He reported that over 130 loans totaling over $15 million have been issued to assist small businesses in the ECCU.
This is a program we launched in the pandemic to help small businesses access credit. It's been a little slow in takeoff, but now it's starting to take off. And again, it's our effort to support small businesses. Every large business started small. And there's no way in this currency union we are going to realize our ambition of the big push without small businesses really growing and taking off.
As part of the ECCB's broader strategy, the governor emphasized that enabling growth among small enterprises is vital for driving the region's economic recovery and achieving the ambitious big push for business growth across the ECCU. Looking ahead, Governor Antwine indicated that the ECCB will steadfastly pursue a wealth creation agenda to transform local savers into investors. This initiative is expected to foster a culture of investment crucial for stimulating economic activity and improving living standards within the ECCU. Highlighting a lighter moment, Governor Antwine also celebrated the ECCB's achievement at the 13th Intra-Regional Central Bank Games, where the bank secured the second-place trophy. The governor noted that this victory reflects the spirit of teamwork among bank staff and their commitment to excellence in various fields, including sports.
In closing, I want to acknowledge the work and support of my colleagues who work directly with me, our executive, deputy governor, chief director, for their hard work, dedication, and support throughout the year. Thank you very much, DG. Thank you very much, CDP. Our heads of departments, thank you very much.
As the ECCB continues to adapt to the evolving economic landscape, its initiatives are expected to resonate throughout the ECCU, empowering individuals and businesses within the region with increased accessibility, financial empowerment, and sustainable economic growth.
Ms. Soraya Williams Powell, a student of the Fairchilds High School, clinched the crown in a fiercely contested Republic Bank Miss Teen St. Kitts and Nevis pageant on Tuesday night, December 17, 2024. She cried tears of joy as her hard work and dedication had finally paid off. Of the 5 judged segments, Soraya won the Best Personality and Achievement Speech, Best Costume, and Best Formal Teenage Wear for a total of 692 points. She also won the Miss Amity, Miss Photogenic, and Social Media Awards. The first runner-up position was awarded to Lajanique Boone of the Immaculate Conception Catholic School, who attained the Chairperson Award. She amassed a total of 684 points. Ms. Deshinaya Charles of the Keon High School won the Best Onstage Interview and Best Performing Talent for the second runner-up position with 666 points. The other participants were Kyla Gerald of the Saddlers Secondary School, Usharika Francis of the Bastia High School, and Jonish Rogers from Washington Archibald High School. All 16 beauties performed exceptionally well, quite evident by the implementation of the tiebreaker policy on 2 occasions. The contestants' talents particularly moved viewers of the show. Some sharing real-life stories of losing their fathers to acts of violence and the pain of growing up without their dads, whilst some other contestants focused on abuse, particularly the concern of adult men robbing girls of their innocence. The Minister of Creative Economy and Parliamentary Representative for Constituency Number 4, Honorable Samal Duggins, congratulated the teen queen and expressed his immense pride that the crown returned to his alma mater after a 1-year hiatus. Quote, "Congratulations to the newly crowned Republic Bank Miss Teen St. Kitts and Nevis, Soraya Williams Powell, representing my alma mater, the best school in the multiverse, Fairchilds High School. You absolutely brought the fire and made us all so proud. Your victory was well deserved, and your performance was nothing short of spectacular." Unquote. Minister Duggins also congratulated the first and second runner-up places and the other contestants for their display of spectacular performances. The Republic Bank Miss Teen St. Kitts and Nevis pageant has been one of Sugar Mass's most sought-after events. Like in recent years, this year the tickets were sold out despite the hundreds of people who viewed the pageant live on social media. The growing interest in the show is backed by the teen beauties who year after year promote themselves with a high level of confidence and energy. Minister Duggins expressed a quote, "This sold-out show was truly one for the history books, showcasing the immense talent and grace of our nation's youth. Kudos to all the participants for an unforgettable night."
In response to Prime Minister the Honourable Dr. Terence Drew's budget presentation regarding crime and violence, Leader of the Opposition and Premier of Nevis, the Honourable Mark Brantley, expressed serious concerns over the ongoing challenges facing the Federation. During his rebuttal on December 17, 2024, Brantley lamented the surge in crime, while advocating for a collaborative approach among all sectors of society to address this pressing issue. Brantley emphasized the need for collective action, stating,
"A political culture where we as parliamentarians only have ideas when we are in government, but can only advance criticism devoid of recommendations and solutions when we are in opposition."
He urged all St. Kitts and Nevis stakeholders to pool ideas and resources to combat crime effectively. Brantley highlighted that crime stems from societal issues rather than government actions alone, noting,
"Indeed, there are some problems which are beyond the capacity of even large governments to solve. Crime is one such problem, as it emanates not from government or government institutions, but from the society itself."
The leader of the opposition emphasized solutions rather than blame, insisting that the focus should remain on the criminals and addressing deviant behavior, not wasting our time attacking each other.
"I extend always my hand of friendship to the government to help in any way that I can, recognizing that crime is everybody's problem and that without citizen security, the country cannot achieve any lasting economic or social gains."
Brantley referenced the historical context of crime in St. Kitts and Nevis, citing the most murderous year in St. Kitts and Nevis's history in 2008 with 35 murders. Crime has remained a constant threat throughout the years, regardless of which party is in power. His emphasis on a bipartisan effort to tackle crime underscored his desire for unity in the face of a societal problem that transcends politics. In addition to discussing crime, Brantley pointed out the interconnected nature of global events and their impact on local issues, particularly the rising cost of living. He compared the challenges faced by small island nations like St. Kitts and Nevis with those of larger countries, capturing the idea that complex issues like crime and economic hardship cannot be tackled with simple isolated actions. Using examples from the global stage, Brantley elaborated on the increase in smuggling activities, emphasizing the necessity for a robust response to both crime and economic difficulties exacerbated by external circumstances like the war in Ukraine.
I mention Ukraine because sometimes I think it's important for our people to understand the interconnectivity of the world. So we hear about war in Ukraine. The man on the bus in Cairn said, "That not got nothing to do with me." The man on the bus to Cotton Ground in Nevis said, "That's them people over there in Europe playing the fool. That has nothing to do with me." But the Ukrainian grain market is one of the largest in the world. Do we know, Madam Speaker, that 5% of total global wheat exports comes from Ukraine? 5%. 40% of global sunflower meal exports and 35% of sunflower oil exports come from Ukraine. We know in St. Kitts Nevis, we love bread more than anything else. We have more bakeries per capita than anywhere else in the world, I'm sure. We love cakes, we love dumplings. Anything and everything made with flour, we love. Well, flour is made from wheat. If wheat production is globally impacted by war in Ukraine, then wheat will become more expensive, leading to wheat products like flour being more expensive, leading to products from flour like bread being more expensive. So I ask the question rhetorically because I know what the answer is.
He highlighted that elements like the cost of food and daily necessities are significantly influenced by international markets, making it challenging for local government to effect immediate change. Brantley reiterated the importance of dialogue and collaboration in governance. His comments reflect a call of unity and a proactive approach to addressing the interlinked challenges of crime, economic resilience, and societal well-being. The leader of the opposition's perspective underscores the critical need for collective efforts as the Federation seeks a safer and more prosperous future. Brantley's return to this central theme, collaborative engagement to combat crime, sets the stage for ongoing discussions among all stakeholders about the most effective strategies to ensure the safety and security of citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis. In regional news, new leader of the New National Party in Grenada shares priority areas for the party's future. Grenada Broadcasting Network has that story.
Newly elected political leader of the opposition New National Party, Emmeline Pierre, has outlined her plans and priority areas to take the party forward.
My first order of business would be to reach out to the membership of this party at all levels. Let us put differences aside and let us focus on what unites us together. Let us build bridges of understanding and collaboration, ensuring that every voice is heard and every voice is valued.
The political leader presented a 5-point agenda to the delegates for the way forward in her acceptance speech. The plan, Pierre said, will focus on empowering and expanding party membership, among other areas.
Point number one, empowering and expanding our party membership. Firstly. 2, preserving and upholding our core values. 3, modernizing organizational structures and systems. I'm giving us the matching orders today. 4, ensuring financial stability. 5, finally, fostering unity and building strategic alliances.
Elaborating on empowering and expanding of the party's membership, Pierre said, if the organs of the party are strong and working well, then the party will remain strong and resilient, able to respond effectively to the needs of the people while remaining steadfast in its mission of service. Pierre emphasized the need to immediately expand on programs and the integration of modern technology, particularly ICT, into the operations and election machinery. Speaking about the financial stability of the party, Pierre, who formerly served as public relations officer, told delegates that a strong financial foundation is essential for the sustainability of the party's initiatives. Christina John, GBN News.
Controversy continues over Venezuelan migrants stranded in Guyanese city, Guyana News source reports.
Well, controversy erupted between the government and the opposition Alliance for Change over assistance that should be offered to a group of migrants found stranded outside a city supermarket. On Monday afternoon, a group of over 40 adults and children was observed on the pavement outside the Real Value supermarket on Church Street, seeking assistance. The leader of the Alliance for Change, Nigel Hughes, visited the scene and met with the group. During the roadside meeting with the AFC leader, some of the persons presented Venezuelan identification cards and claimed that they had traveled to Georgetown on the invitation of the president after meeting with the president last week in Essequibo. The president's office has since denied that claim. One of the members of the group explained to the AFC leader that during a recent meeting with the president, he was asked to provide a contact number. He said he later received a call from someone who said they were from the president's office and was told that they needed to travel to Georgetown to meet with the president.
One girl called me, president.
The AFC leader said while he was meeting with the persons, minister within the office of the Prime Minister Kwame McCoy arrived on the scene and also started to engage the persons. McCoy was later captured on camera facing off with a woman over assistance that should be offered to the group. With his mobile phone in hand recording the confrontation, McCoy was later observed leaving the scene, while declaring that Nigel Hughes and the AFC should offer help.
Nigel Hughes and the AFC said you have them.
Well, you don't agree with what he is saying. You're the minister. You shouldn't go away.
Which minister?
No, he is the minister. You should go away.
Go along.
In an unprecedented move, the president's personal military aide, Lieutenant Colonel Earl Edgell of the Guyana Defense Force, appeared on the president's Facebook page in a video-recorded response to the controversy. The military officer said last Thursday during a visit by the president to Essequibo, a number of persons surrounded the president to take photographs and ask for assistance.
At no time at all was the president or persons associated with the president invited anyone to Georgetown.
The president's military aide then explained that one day after the president's visit to Essequibo, a group of persons claiming to be from Essequibo turned up outside the president's official residence at State House. He said those persons claimed that they had been instructed by the president to come to the city. Lieutenant Colonel Edgell said he made contact with the president and was instructed by the president to provide humanitarian assistance to the persons, as he, the president, never invited or encouraged the persons to come to the city.
We took them to the One Guyana kitchen, just opposite State House, and we fed just about 30 persons, adults, and about 15 children, ranging from as young as a newborn to about 9 years old. We then gave them hampers as instructed by His Excellency. I then made contact with the Guyana Defense Force and got a bus to assist in transporting them to Puerto Rico. Whilst at Puerto Rico, they were given dinner, they were housed for the night, and they were given breakfast the next morning. There are other financial assistance that they received, as well as transportation on the boat to Essequibo.
The military aide said it was appalling to hear and see the same persons making outlandish claims.
It is appalling to now hear and see that the same set of individuals are in town making outlandish claims. I feel as though our assistance has been wasted and we are being targeted without cause. I will present photos to show that on Friday they received their hampers.
The statement by the president's personal military aide was the only one released by the government of Guyana on the issue on Monday night.
We now bring you these international reports.
The UN Special Envoy to Syria has warned that unless the country gets urgent support, it could be plunged back into conflict. Geir Pedersen called for free and fair elections in Syria and urged humanitarian assistance to the country more than a week after the downfall of President Assad.
There are a few challenges. One is that the conflict isn't over yet. Yes, there is stability in Damascus, but there are challenges in some areas. And of course, one of the biggest challenges is the situation in the northeast. We need immediate humanitarian assistance, but we also need to make sure that Syria can be rebuilt, that we can see economic recovery, and that we can hopefully see the beginning where we start the process to end sanctions. Of course, it is the importance of making sure that we have a political transition that will be credible, inclusive, and include the broadest range of the Syrian society.
Well, the International Organization for Migration says the country is not yet stable enough for the large-scale return of refugees. The agency says about 100,000 people have already returned. Well, the head of the UN's International Organization for Migration, Amy Pope, joins us now. Thank you for coming on the programme.
It's my pleasure.
So you've recently been in Damascus, speaking to political leaders there. What did you pick up?
So we picked up that the caretaker government is serious about trying to create a more stable situation in Syria, but that the task ahead of them is monumental. They do not have a lot of experience governing such a complex situation. Much of the country is still devastated by the war that has gone on for years, and the country itself still faces some fairly significant humanitarian needs that must be met if it's going to recover effectively.
OK, so if you add on top of that movement of people, lots of people within the country and coming back potentially into Syria, what kind of consequences could that have?
Our concern is that if there's a large-scale movement of people back into the country at a time when basic infrastructure is missing in parts of the country, frankly, it will put a lot of pressure on a very fragile system. It also risks increasing the regional instability. It risks further movements, further displacements of people. It risks conflict between communities. So we're hoping that the international community and our partners around the world will take seriously the need to provide humanitarian support and begin the rebuilding effort for the country before there are large movements of people back there.
OK, and what does it mean? We will come to the situation on the ground in different parts of Syria in just a moment. But given what you just said there, what implications does that have for governments of countries in the region, but also across Europe and lots of areas who are receiving asylum applications, potentially historical, current, from people from Syria? Many have paused those processes. Is your message to those governments to continue to process them and accept people from Syria or not?
There are two different pieces here. The first is for people who are now currently coming to a country and seeking asylum. And there it's really, as our colleagues at UNHCR would share with us, it's really important that people have a case-by-case consideration to determine whether or not they have a need for asylum at this moment in time. The situation on the ground is very volatile. It's not clear that it's safe for everyone to go back. And so that decision still needs to be made based on individual circumstances. There's a different matter in terms of the people who are already living and working or have refugee status around the world. And certainly the issue there for many countries is it time for those people, those Syrians, to go back home? And the answer to that question is not quite yet. There may be individuals who are able to go home because of where they're going. It may be more stable. But in terms of a large-scale return of Syrians, the situation on the ground there remains really unsuitable for large numbers of people to go home.
OK, thank you for clarifying that. Let's move to the situation on the ground in Syria. Can you give us an idea of the numbers of people who are internally displaced in Syria, or indeed numbers of people who have potentially left and therefore a potential figure of people who could be returning?
Well, there are over 5 million people who've been displaced inside the country. About 2 million of those people are inside camps, so in very, very fragile circumstances. Another 3 million or so who've been displaced to other parts of the country. Likewise, we know that there have been millions of people who have left the country over the years, and they're now living in the surrounding countries, Jordan and Turkey, here in Lebanon, where I'm calling from, as well as in Europe. So the numbers of people are well over 10 million who could be returning to their place of origin. Even in recent days, we've seen the movement of additional people. So as communities have experienced fighting, as infrastructure has been destroyed, people have moved in search of safety. Even just the last week or so, we've seen about 200,000 people, some people now going back home to where they came from to do an assessment of whether it's safe to go live there or bring their families back.
And what kind of support then, given those kind of numbers, what kind of support are you suggesting is needed now?
It's going to be very significant. Even before the possibility of return, the UN had assessed across the board that it would be about $4 billion to provide humanitarian support to communities already living in Syria. Now, if we're talking about the return of potentially millions more, the needs are significantly greater. And there are two sides to this. There's the basic life-saving humanitarian support, things like shelter or food, hygiene kits, water, that people need just to survive. Then there's the next level. It's about how do we enable people to actually become self-reliant? How do we enable them to find a job or contribute to the rebuilding of the economy? So these things need to go hand in hand. Providing humanitarian support is just not going to be sufficient to enable people to go home and stay home.
From a new member of the $1 Trillion Club to a sure way to get Donald Trump's attention, this is AI Weekly. Broadcom is the latest chipmaker to hit a $1 trillion valuation thanks to the bots. Shares in the U.S. firm leaped after CEO Hock Tan said revenue was set to surge. Broadcom is among the winners as tech firms look for alternatives to NVIDIA's pricey, hard-to-get processors. Donald Trump has won a big investment pledge from Japan's SoftBank.
Today, I'm thrilled to announce that SoftBank will be investing $100 billion in America, creating 100,000 American jobs at a minimum.
Trump said the investment would be focused on AI and prodded SoftBank boss Masayoshi Son to dig even deeper.
Would you make it $200 billion instead of he can actually, believe it or not, he can actually afford to do that. Would you do that?
OpenAI is biting back at Elon Musk's bid to stop it becoming a for-profit company. It's published a trove of emails with the billionaire to argue that he backed profit status until he failed to get a majority equity stake. Now the ChatGPT maker has asked a judge to throw out an injunction aiming to block the change in status. Herding cattle is the latest skill ticked off by AI. Swagbot was developed at the University of Sydney. Robotics professor Salah Sukaria says the latest model can do a lot more than just move cows around.
So the robots have sensors on them now that can, so vision sensors, laser sensors, and you can actually measure the property of the animal's motion as it's moving along. So what we call its gait, so how it's actually moving. And if you measure that information over a number of different days, you start to build up a characteristic profile of that animal. And from that, you can determine whether or not the animal is healthy or not healthy at a particular point in time along that path.
And Elon Musk's xAI has rolled out a new chatbot. The firm says Grok 2 will be available free to all social media platform X users, with premium members getting higher usage limits. xAI says it has been quietly testing the new bot over recent weeks.
You were listening to the WINN FM 98.9 newscast. Our top stories were:
Minister Samuel Duggins says the Soca Mana competition seems to be trending back to its glory days.
ECCB Governor highlights positive developments amid growth focus.
Miss Soraya Williams Powell was crowned as the Republic Bank Miss Teen St. Kitts and Nevis pageant queen.
St. Kitts Nevis opposition leader on the state of crime in the country during intervention on 2025 budget. New leader of the New National Party in Grenada shares priority areas for the party's future. Controversy continues over Venezuelan migrants stranded in Guyanese city. Internationally, United Nations concerned over military escalation in Syria. Thank you for listening.